Hello, everybody. Welcome to Concordia Consularis, the spiritual and business agency of the fifth world of peace and beyond. And this episode today is all about Concordia spiritual activation. We are in Africa again, which is absolutely wonderful. It's a joy, absolute joy, to work in this area, an area of the planet that is often left behind in the minds of other people, beings on the planet, groups and collectives, and has historically been utilized for the gain of others throughout all false written history. So today we're going to voyage into that area again and provide the resolution that may not be available to many people. And that is really important when doing this kind of work, is that we don't forget our brothers and sisters on this planet. And that can often be the way, you know, the dark seeks the dark to do their work, the light seeks the light. But here we are in a sacred neutral perspective, in the spiritual course of equity. They're already open and ready for what we're about to do. So without any with one further ado, if you would like to book a private session with me, you can do so by contacting me on the links in the description below. Do subscribe. In the modern age of censorship of other beliefs and other ways of doing things, do that. It helps to support us in some sort of way and give others an indication of where they can find specific help and services for the soul. I'm also running an online sacred clearing on the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, for healing the wounds of the soul. Be great to see you there. Links will be down in the description below. But now we move forward. Without further ado, I'm just going to bring into view Derek and Harrison. Welcome back, guys. It's great to have you on here again. And we're going to do another voyage. And last week in the clearing, or last episode that we did together, we focused on the Ricat structure. But without further delay, how are you both?
Hi, Angela. Nice to be back this week. Hi, Harrison.
Hi, Derek and Angela. I'm doing wonderful, and it's beautiful to be here once again doing this work. It's really amazing. Yeah.
It is, honestly, just seeing how and viewing how you guys operate. It's a true inspiration for others to learn what their capabilities are and keep going for the next level of your own evolutionary journeys, where you get to assist others in the process. It's absolutely beautiful. So just before we came on, we went through an activation where we were resetting into sacred neutral. Things can be challenging in dense energies for everybody on this planet. But before we engage in spiritual court of equity, we bring ourselves into the core neutral space. That is the original frequency that we incarnated from. It's very beautiful, very peaceful, and just how it should be. So one of the things, I'm just going to bring up this image here for everyone to see. It is the Ricat structure. Now, as you can see, it's quite a phenomenal, natural, the word just escaped me, natural construct of Earth, an essential part of Earth technology that defies natural form. Some say that a meteorite hit, or there was some sort of natural disaster that created this. But in this particular area, it's very connected to the realms of Atlantis that was back in the day, before we, let's just say, before we came down in our natural abilities, before we started slipping into unconscious awareness. So having a look at this picture, what does it bring to mind for you, Derek, firstly?
Well, to me, it's round, it symbolizes a wheel. And a wheel has movement to it. It has a specific type of energy. So when I look at this photograph, I'm looking at the energy of it. And when I look at the energy of it, to me, it's got like a fire-like energy, which would be like fire. So it would be an energy reaching up fire-like and also going deep into the ground. So what I would say is that it's allowing different forms of life and beings to come through very easily and move through and use the earth to go to other realms and other dimensions, planets, universes.
So it's a bit like a portal.
Exactly.
A time portal, a natural, let's say, energetic construct that can be utilized for the transportation of energies and so on.
Yes, but more so, I mean, when we think of portals, you know, being on the earth, you think, oh, leaving here for other places. But this is a gateway that other beings will use from other planetary systems to go to other planets and universes. It's an entry point that they do not have.
Okay. And most people in unawareness would not even be aware of these types of structures that affect the planet today. Harrison, what do you think? What do you feel in your core about this?
As I was looking into the structure, the image that I'm receiving is this advanced kind of technology that's beneath what we are seeing at the moment, and it's quite so advanced such that because I can see it's like a guy behind screens, but there's no screen. It's like that is being projected on like a hologram kind of situation, and it's like this person can adjust the emotions of the people that are above or within this region.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I agree with that. It's in its natural formation. You can see that there's great energetic movement through matter, through energy, through into the organic form in Earth. And we, you know, in Africa, there are many zones like this. We were discussing it before, all over Africa of varying different sizes, degrees, and so on. The transportation element is absolutely key here, and the energetic movement that affects the core structures of Earth. So one of the things that has been coming up this week, I've been hearing from a lot of people about the dream world being contaminated with indoctrination to various different groups, ideologies, technologies when it comes to war and warring factions. So this is going to be quite an interesting voyage into this. So I'm just going to bring that image off there. So one of the things that I'd like to do in this spiritual court of equity is just bring in the specific section, all those who have utilized this for negative control on Earth since Atlantean times. Now, we do have Mother Earth. We're inviting the beautiful planetary being that is her into the spiritual court of equity. And she will testify and bring forth that data of who moves within and without of her organic form. This is quite interesting. And one of the key elements of this work is being able to work with human and with Earth in exactly the same way, because we all experience the same sorts of frequencies incoming and outcoming from planet to individual, from individual to planet. So just breathing in there, and we're bringing in all those esoteric ones that are unconsciously or consciously trying to adapt war technology and seed it into the dream time of Earth, creating discord. And there could be control centers, which is going to come up. We have this week the reignition of CERN and what they're doing with that particular setup, but also the connections to other setups in the other structures throughout the dimensions. So just breathing that and seeing that. And in this moment, also, I would like to invite the manipulators of that planetary energy, the natural process of who interfere with the natural process of Earth's expansion, but also on a universal level, because there are specific alignments that are being used to distort the frequencies going forward in planetary evolution. We have the seeders of wars. We have all cultures present, the African cultures present, including the Berbers. They are very key in all of this, very ancient race there. And as usual, there's going to be many galactic off-planet groups involved and the interference there, but also the human interferers, the interlopers, the originators that will come in there, digital wizards, target groups who've targeted the races of Earth from a distance via the sacred heart dream space, the natural dream frequencies that they should be using to be living out their own dreams, but also the transhumanists behind the scenes who are utilizing this to harvest human life forms. Now, this is going to, come into an area where it brings forward those corruption experts in Africa. This is key, and it's really easy to see on a global perspective or from a global perspective, because it's election time, the harvesting levels have gone up. Who is buying into this narrative framework? So if you could let me know of your perceptions, that would be marvelous.
Well, coming back to the diagram and the picture again, what I want to say is that we look at, it looks natural there, but the technology is not natural that's been placed upon it. So when it comes to negating this area and releasing it from the influence of the technology, what will happen is that the energy bands and matrices around the planet, which is out beyond the Earth's atmosphere, those inorganic grids will then be cease to exist, if should we say that, and there'll be a freeing up of energy coming through, and the freeing up of control from other dark forces. What do you think, Harrison?
For me, when I'm looking at this structure inside, it's like I'm kind of interacting with the people who are here, because I can see there's a mixture of humans and non-humans.
Exactly.
Most notably, I can see like it's like a crocodile walking on twos. That's how the best I can be able to describe it. But it's like it's also connected with the a conic grid. It's like some kind of a control center, and also control here on the planet, also connected with the banking system. So it's kind of a complex structure.
Yeah, I would go as far to say banking systems, legal systems, but also I would like to invite all the elders here from the universe whose descendants may or may not have been involved in this as well here, but also the Atlantean elders who worked with these structures for the natural telluric processes of the soul of Earth and the organic processes. So let's just have a look at these guys and just bringing a strength of that connection to the fore. So they're showing me automatically a group called the Belial. Now, what technologies, I'm just scanning through, I'm getting shown there's a lot of Atlantean technology that they are trying to hook up into the war frequency. And we've been here before, but I just want you to just check the areas of whose bright idea was this anyway. And we're just going to bring them to a single point of focus.
For me, when I'm trying to concentrate on this, there's this new series called Halo. I don't know if you guys have watched, been able to see that series. And there are these kind of elders that are not, they are non-humans, but they are seated on like a kind of a floating object. There's a quite, from the way I can express, it looks like it's not a human, but it's very, very old in my terminology that I have, that I can be able to express this.
I get the word legislature, not legislator, a legislature, U-R-E. So it's a group here. Now, there has been a massive takeover of these control centers in various layers. How many do you perceive?
I perceive 4 layers, definitely.
Right, activated and working together, would you say?
Yes, I mean, even when you look at it, you can see that it's divided up into 4 equal parts, the circumference of it.
Yeah. So what do the Atlantean elders say about this misuse? And we have various factions here in the Spiritual Court of Equity who were involved originally in the demise of Earth.
Well, the Atlantean elders, there's a group of them that had, if I can say it like this, their hands burnt from this particular piece of technology, and another group that do not want to have anything to do with it at all because of what's actually gone on here. So we'll be helping them as well, because the one group of Atlantean elders that have had their hands burnt here have had to play into some really nasty people's hands, and we'll free them up as well.
Yeah. So how do you feel? What are the specific things that took place, specific actions that created this level of destruction and domination and control on Earth. I'm bringing specifically the 15 individuals, the 17 individuals here, and all the other councils that were involved or knew about it, but turned a blind eye for their own benefit.
For me, the information that I'm able to interpret is that the moment they came with this idea to create this structure, it was for goodness, because they were trying to protect Earth from total takeover by the 15 multidimensional beings. But something along the way didn't go to plan as they wanted it to go to plan, and it kind of backfired on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I'm perceiving.
Now, in this moment, for all races, beings and cultures that were connected to the Atlantean times, they would have endured a massive level of heart devastation. There will be some that have incredible fear of water, of swimming, but there will be a level of heart closure to their experience and their infinite experience. Many Atlantean hearts just simply closed down because it was so devastating to experience those chain of events. So in these moments, we're going to hold space in this court of equity, excuse me, for all those that experienced that level of devastation. And I would like it if you both could describe what you see as the spiritual court of equity assists the individuals affected.
What I will say is that before Atlantis, we had Lemuria, and before Lemuria, we had Pangaea. This did not exist then. This came into existence during Atlantean times. So working with the court today, they're going to sign off on this. Remember the golden book that we spoke about last week? So all this work is actually going to be recorded in the book of records, which will be able to be read at whoever wants to read it at another point. And they actually starting already, the elders, the guardians of the earth are starting to clear the slate here, and they're starting to disassemble all the technology and all the cords leading to the people that had anything to do with this. It's time for them to be set free. This is the hour.
Brilliant, brilliant. I get chills when you say that. I can feel it all beginning to move nicely. And I would like to invite those that were responsible for it to undo it immediately and do what they've done. Thoughts, plans, intentions, all the dirty behind the scenes corruption and dealings, technologies, war technology to keep this planet locked in to war, infinite war. That's what they want. Energy, war, currency.
The strange thing is, when I look at this picture now, it seems a lot flatter. It's flattening out.
Yeah, it is. I can feel that on either side, actually, that you're absolutely correct. Beautiful. All the inner earth connections here, the ancestors of old that used time, some of the groups used time to compete with each other, which is absolutely pointless because if it was successful, it would have worked and we wouldn't be sitting here today. So I feel that a lot of plans have gone to waste. So I would like to neutrally invite every single race on earth that ever existed into this spiritual court of equity. And what kind of emotions can you pick up on out there? And Harrison, we're going to come to you. You're still receiving data. I can see that. Derek, what emotions are you picking up in those races?
Well, they're looking on to see how incredible it is that of the work that we're doing here today. You know, they're actually astounded that on the given hour, this is being negated and being drawn to a close. So they actually, there's a lot of rejoicing that this is actually going, because this is linked to some very dark technology that's been how they've been able to control and influence masses of people at a time on Earth. So it's incredible. There's a lot of joy actually that this is happening.
Brilliant. Is there any resistance at all from any groups or factions?
I don't see any or pick up any resistance whatsoever, because even if there was, there's nothing they can resist. The work's being done.
It's true.
For me, what I'm thinking, it's quite strange because it's like I'm in the midst of a huge population of people and they're just mumbling around and they're wondering what we are doing up here. And it's like they have been heavily impacted by this technology.
Yeah.
And they are like in a kind of deeper kind of population. They are not the kind of surface population that we'd be expecting to see.
Yeah. So we're just removing it. My screen is actually flashing with this image at the moment. I don't know if you're seeing that. I hope that records. I really do, because it's just literally flashing.
Yeah, I can see, yeah, it's changing.
That has never happened before to me. Not that I can remember anyway. So let's just have a look here at the neurological parts here affected of all those that have been dampened down. I'm just going to knock the image off a second, but that is insane. Oh, there we are. Gives us an idea of what manifests forth. So the impacts to the human races from those times moving forward. We've got exile, the impacts from being separated from an original community. And that brings forward a lot of shame and grief in the people. The ones that don't know that they're, or remember that there's something much greater than the illusion that we're experiencing here in this frequency and density. So we're just removing the illusions. There will be dark magic entrenched into those systems, setups, and frameworks here. Derek, I see a knowing look on your face.
No, I'm just getting that the dream woven spell is dissolving.
Lovely. And connecting to Earth's dreaming mind of the planetary sentience. How is the dream world looking to you?
Well, the dream world, in the time of bifurcation, I see the splitting. So the people that are actually that aren't making an effort to become aware of what's taking place on the earth, they're going to be influenced by the darker forces, if you will, in their dream time. And the people that are making a big effort to raise their vibrational frequency and their consciousness are moving away from those influences.
Brilliant. So we're just requesting that to go deep into the frequency on a planetary level for all those living and dead on Earth today. And the groups that were responsible for all the time travel, manipulation, and separating and destroying Earth cultures at every step of the way through the disruption of timelines and harvesting. Are they removing what they've done?
What I'm getting is that a call has been made where because this is not the only structure that's doing this on Earth. A call has been made that they have to work together to raise the vibration, and they have no choice. This is a decision that I don't know who has given this. It's like, it's not a request, you have to follow it. And I was seeing like a dark cloud, but it's spiraling, showing that it's kind of lifting up.
Well, Harrison, I'll add to that because I got the image of, as I was saying, this structure that we were looking at in the photograph, it's created a gateway for people to come from other planetary systems, move through the Earth to other places. But now that the courts actually dealt with it, that this gateway is now shut, it's closed to where they were going, which was artificial timelines. And it's like this artificial world that they had created and enslaved people and living off the energy in a way from the earth. And for the people that they've affected, it's actually exploded, it's over. So I don't know where they're going to right now, but it's like basically an explosion that's taken place. What do you think, Angela?
Yeah, I can see the energy is returning naturally to the land, to the people that they took it from in the first place, and all the races and cultures. But what I'm getting a sense of is that Earth is going to emanate a frequency in her dreaming mind, but also to the rest and the other planets in this universe, in this area, in our galaxy, that she has to be allowed her time to expand, evolve, that this is a time of her feminine process, that these feminine energies will link to us, male and female, because we've all got them. And I'm also going to step in here and ask for all identities, false identities that were seeded into the dream time to be removed for the next 30 generations. All that is harmful for the dehumanization of Earth, her soul, and her inhabitants. And we're just going to hold a specific frequency that is connected to her Earth soul sentient technology. And this message will go out to every sentient being in this universe, aside from any, what I will call, low, weak structure that attempts to suppress the expansion of the feminine. Your perceptions are welcome. As an incarnated woman, I can really feel that expansion on the inner levels.
What I'm seeing for me, it's like it's like a door has opened and I can see an ocean with beautiful green lands and vegetation. It's very beautiful, and some palm trees. And there's this there's a woman who is seated here and she's just enjoying the view. And I guess it's the spirit of Mama Earth. She's just it's like showing me what we should be expecting after this.
I know the vision that you spoke about just then. I saw that in a ceremony many years ago. This is what she showed me, exactly what you're seeing. And I sat with her. And she reminded me that she was my mother. Such a beautiful thing. Thank you for saying that.
Yes, it's a feeling of peace and a feeling of calmness, and the energy of it is what's important, and also the water, you know, is a frequency, is the vibrational frequency that one can actually hear. So on another level, we talk about the waters of creation as well.
So I want to take this a step further as per normal. I would like us here to assist with the disentangling of all controlling or affected occult systems that try to divert her process, her natural infinite process. Those who take the original teachings and manipulate them, leaving out others and their own evolutionary process and growth. And just visualizing internally Earth, there are many drama queens here. They can go. Calm down. And that will extend out to all those that disrupted the feminine Christos, the natural feminine energies of this planet and universe. Now, what this will extend to in Africa in particular and all over the world, but we're really holding space in Africa, and that is the rape and abuse programs directed at the feminine that are passed on generation to generation. I know particularly there are some African countries where this is rife, where literal attacks of a very brutal nature are not observed by the corrupt governments, or they turn a blind eye, as do many other countries on the planet.
Well, don't forget that that is also creating fear and pain. And the fear and pain is what the controllers beyond the governments actually live off. So down on earth, we're seeing the female being badly injured, if you will, and manipulated, used, abused. But on another level, it is an energy that the dark forces have been living off. So, yeah.
Yeah. And also that affects the future generations.
Exactly.
And completely traumatizes the children because often they witness it.
What I'm seeing, it's like a very, very vivid image of these rebels. You know, they have converted a pickup into like a kind of a war, kind of a vehicle, and it's like it's running off across the ground. And it's like they're suppressing the chakras. It's like the chakra of the earth, and it's supposed to be creative, but they're using this energy, this dark energy, to suppress these chakras to start opening up. So that's why we are still locked into what we are seeing. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's amazing. So now the distortions over the womb chakras and this immense energy is connected to the womb of every single woman on the planet today. And this is resulting in many health conditions, PMS, what's the other one called? Well, a whole host of them, you know, ectopic pregnancies, not being able to grow inside the womb, being separated. There's tremendous trauma here, but also polycystic ovaries, the emergence of C-section, unnatural birthing processes, and in culture, the growing lack of midwives that do not want to work in this way. I would just like to get to the root originators of this in Africa, but also on the planet at large. It affects all races and cultures to date. Sometimes I know that we have to engage in emergency procedures to save the life of mothers and children. But in other times, these things are naturally occurring and women do not know why, because they've been disconnected to the feminine. They are living in a man's world. And we're seeing this in sport. We're seeing this in culture. We're seeing this, you know, also in Africa, where men teach other men that if you do not beat your wife, she will not respect you. This is something that is almost like, who is the barbaric or were the barbaric controllers of Earth in this way, mining for her natural creative resources? The originator, I'm bringing them into the central focus here, and anything else that was controlling them or their other distorted generations of inflicting pain and abuse upon planet and mother.
And fear.
Yeah, fear. Yeah. Ooh. Now this is reaching far and wide, and what we're doing here is we're providing support for all the women that have ever undergone any trauma and abuse. And why I'm focusing here on women, because this has happened historically as well, or historically, or the historically, to men as well in different incarnations. So as soon as we've worked with the women alive on the planet today, we're just going to incorporate all men into that healing. that inner feminine healing, where the teachings were distorted towards hatred rather than self-appreciation and understanding that they carry dual qualities of masculine and feminine, and any seeded distortions in between of what that might be. And here we have a root of gender dysphoria, where individuals have their dream time seeded with these technologies, so they don't know which gender they are and end up hurting themselves on a soul level as a result.
Can I just add, this is part of the transhuman agenda.
Thank you. So we're bringing all transhumanist groups, agendas, collectives. Now the groups out there, I'm hearing from them, you're hurting us, stop. We cannot live, they say, without anything else. What do you perceive from those beings that say that?
That's strange, because I have just seen a huge ship. This metallic ship, it's like a spaceship, but it's hidden in the clouds. And then there were these kind of beings dropping on the ground, and some of them were dragging, like they have really caused huge harm on the surface, and it's total devastation. And there's this fear, death, kind of energy, and it's like the ground has absorbed it, and it's like they are feeding off all these kind of death situations. It's not a pleasant thing to look into, and they are not quite happy with what we are doing, because this is their food, and it's like we are taking it off from their table, and they are ready to feed ready to feast on the harvest.
Exactly.
We are ready, yeah.
And this has been common throughout all epochs of time. And they literally have included vampiric groups into this. But also people are literally walking through this stuff every day in unknowingness. So we just want to invite Earth to highlight all those dense areas where people walk through this energetic program that is keeping them suppressed and diverted on their natural organic evolution. It is a pretty gross picture of what they have done. I'm meeting some core resistance there, because it is about food. You know, hence the synthetic aspects of their existence need to keep that life going as much as they possibly can, because it's like, you know, being told not to eat meat and then being forced to eat insects. It's all part of that agenda. Naturally dehumanizing to the existence of every single person on earth. It's like, no. But let's have a look. Why do they, I'm going to ask them directly, why again, and I'll keep asking the same, why do you need soul energy to eat and exist? What is your weakness? And your response, your perceptions are welcome here.
Well, as we were talking earlier on, it's groups of people looking to be immortal. And in order to be in their search for immortality, where do they get the energy from? Feeding off humans on the earth, for example, not realizing that immortality is not the best route to go. It's to eternal life, as I mentioned earlier on.
Yeah. So there are masses of digital frameworks that are infiltrating through to the corrupted governments at large, the groups. And what does Earth say? What does she want? This is her body. What does she want for her body and her children and generations that are meant to coexist together?
I don't know, but I'm seeing this image of Aurora Borealis, and it's like there's a grid producing that kind of an energy, and it's crossing across the planet. I don't know what you're perceiving, Derek.
I really like that image of when you talk about the Aurora Borealis, you always see those flashing green lights. It's bringing that emerald ray, divine energy through that you're actually seeing. And it's a very healing color. So it's Mother Earth's bringing through healing for what's being taken place.
Okay, so there are masses of ancestral groups, cultures that will automatically start rebooting. All ancestors will not have struggled in vain. Just bringing through that ancestral peace. And also to the future generations to the south. And that is a truly sacred movement of energy. And I give thanks for that, for all those beings, people, races, cultures, groups that support us in this spiritual port of equity today.
Yeah, I don't know how this is connected with the astral realms, but that word is it's flashing on my mind. I don't know what it means if we are connecting or what you're doing with the astral realms, because there's quite a commotion going on there.
Right.
Well, I'll add to that, Harrison. Of course there is, because when we were working on that round disc earlier on and cleaning that mess up and closing that gateway down, and I said it's like an explosion from another pretty dark world where people had been entrapped is actually being annihilated, and the lucky ones have escaped. And yeah, they're flashing through time and space to trying to get to another place. So you are right.
Yeah, but they must realize there's nowhere for them to run. So into the spiritual port of equity, all those that basically mess around to the planet, to the individual consciousnesses of all beings today that are living and breathing. And the connection to the dream world as well, because I can see direct links, like feeds into it. this astral commotion. So all astral groups, just making sure that they're all in. And then we're going to extend that throughout all the neutral Concordia offices, dimension 5, density 5, through to 8, 9, 10. I pull a face because as soon as we hit 10, it was like, oh, that bloody woman. So let's go to 11. And 12. And 13. What do you perceive in the other densities?
Well, I've just flashed that with CERN opening its doors again this week, so to speak, and the work that we've done with the court this evening and closing down that technology. What CERN was doing in another way was connecting to that exact same place through their technology in Switzerland. And they're going to be very surprised that the place doesn't exist anymore. And I think it's actually quite marvelous.
Okay, I think that's marvelous too. So I just want to ensure that it is out of action to all other stargates, portals, time devices, other CERNs in other realities. This is Earthship. And all the feed-ins from other dimensions that use this to suppress and control the races here.
Yeah, I'm getting there's a connection to the etheric satellites that we can't see with our 2 eyes. And it has also a connection to the parasites and AIs that they are constantly blasting on the population to make sure that they're harvesting this energy. And I think we need to look into that and shut those satellites down.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you this, both of you, what's the original technology catalogue number of this construct?
27.
Harrison?
I'm just what I'm seeing, it's like pages being flipping and I'm seeing a letter C and then a 2, but I can't see what's the next figure that's after that.
Yeah. There was a number 1 that is targeted for one species, which are humans. Got it. So how does that look now?
Ooh, one of these satellites is not gonna like what you're seeing. It's like we have identified the serial number of these satellites and they are just falling. It's like a massive solar storm has hit them and they're just falling off from where they had been attached.
It is, it's like Domino Alley, that old game. And they all come tumbling down. So what percentage of war technology and the residue of the seeding is in Earth Streaming Mind at this moment?
I'd say 50 to 60%.
Okay.
I'm getting around the same figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to look at what is holding it in place. What is the core input into this technology? What is supplying it? And what is the supply?
I don't know, it's like I'm getting these huge cords running down to Earth's core. It's like they are trying to attach, or they are draining energy off in some kind of a shady way. So that's what I'm perceiving.
Okay. So I'm just going to highlight storage points, batteries, using Earth terminology, energy systems. Funny that we've got a huge energy crisis happening on the planet and they're having to charge more for it, right?
Yeah, the funny thing, you have even talked about that, and for the past few weeks, we have been having these fuel shortages, and the government said it had resolved that, and it had already deported a French CEO who was running one of the major oil distributing uh, company here. And the funny thing, the same problem has already returned, and it's it's quite weird, and that's strange. I don't know what the agenda they are trying to play and the scarcity they are trying to show the people, but
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's also a distraction from free energy by creating an energy crisis.
Yeah. Exactly. And having to say, for example, in UK, it just so happens, that the Chancellor of the Exchequer is married to somebody who hasn't been paying their income tax on all of their global energy companies. So everybody else has to foot the bill. And in the meantime, there are going to be 12 new nuclear reactors in Britain on a very small space. So it gives you an idea of what is happening from domination and control center. So they're withholding the resources, charging higher currency, i.e. cash or payment or investment or whatever you want to call it, prices to those to foot the bill because they need to manufacture more energy that they're not getting because their energy, what they've been harvesting, has been decreasing.
Well, it's all manipulated, and this is to reinforce mankind's enslavement to coin.
Exactly.
yeah.
So just bringing forward those beings, groups, corrupted governments into the fore in the spiritual court.
What I'm perceiving is that already in the ethers, that technology has been allowed to be received by the population, and so many people have massively downloaded that information, and they are creating these super technologies But what's happening with these controllers is that they have already placed rules and regulations in places that's gonna prohibit this technology from rising from the grassroots level that they are currently in, because they're already up and running. And this is what I'm getting, that we need to bring those people into the court of equity, because they are
Agreed.
using the law to prevent humanity from having this access to this technology.
Exactly. And, you know, there are a lot of independent energy technology individuals that have moved to Africa.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you a story that has happened here in our country. Because the company that I'm working for is also dealing with the energy, because it's dealing in the solar industry. And because of the rising cost of energy, so many companies have invested heavily on solar power. So our power production company started having huge losses, and they wanted to bring up punitive laws to curb the extensive the way people have already invested in solar, where they were just putting ridiculous laws and clauses, and a huge backlash arose from the people where they had to stop. I think this is what the people need to know what's happening, so that they can also start fighting back for what they are owed. Because if the people didn't stand up for what they knew, right now it would be very difficult for any single person to access solar technology. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The restricted use of the natural forces of the universe. So we have them here, present. Let's have a look at them. What do you perceive from them, and why do they restrict it? We know why, but we want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Derek, do you want to go for that? And I know you are getting something.
Well, it's all about keeping people in position of lack, you know,
Yeah.
and making things more difficult. And then it's, once again, what does that boil down to? That's fear. And that there's not enough. And it's manipulated, you know. So I'm really pleased the court's working on these issues right now.
Yeah. And
responsible, right? I'm just asking them that we're not doing that on Earth. I just want you to read them and the Atlantean elders.
the funny thing that I'm getting is that the current controllers that are here, they are making sure that every single area where the oil is being produced, there's some kind of negative energy that is intertwined with that energy, so that this kind of low density kind of energy is broadcasted from the entire earth. And from the Atlantis, it's that they were using pure crystals, and it's like, if they can allow that to happen, much of their control will cease to exist. So they are kind of hanging on a line to make sure that people don't know how to harness the crystal energy.
Exactly. So in my notes that I made here, phi crystals were originally used in Atlantis. Who do they belong to now? Into the spiritual court of equity they will come.
Fire crystals, or what kind of crystals have you?
PHI.
Okay, oh, fire, yeah.
Oh, they not like it. They don't like being brought in for that at all. So that specific process is going to take place with them because they are that frequency here to Earth. With the negative inputs, they're going to be cleared. Let me know when you feel like that's moving. That's really important. There are many installations on Earth, a lot in Africa, along connected to the Ricat structure, but also to the mid-Atlantic ridge. And also to the other side of it.
Well, it's basically moving around the equator.
And I'm also going to extend that to the Caribbean. Okay, so that's moving quite quickly. That's really good. Right, so there are some celestial constructs in there as well. But also as per our findings last time in the diamonds in Equatorial Guinea, they're connected to another function. So there will be controlling elements from other stones here from Atlantis, and they were brought forward and dispersed to seed other controlling civilizations. I know the name, but for the sake of anyone trying to infiltrate post-broadcast, I'm not going to say the names, because there'll be those that take it upon themselves to work in a negative way and try and negate what we do, but it's a spiritual court of equity. It is being recorded on an infinite level. And there's nothing that they can do. They can try and manipulate it, divert, seed doubt to stop. But this is infinity. And they're a micro fragment. I'm just reminding them of that too. It will have affected the doubt in the limbic system of people, the reptilian brain, all the control grids. Density 1 and 2, which is bloody awful. Okay, so here I would like to bring in infiltrators of all anomalies. I wish I could read my, and the Master Maestra code. And this is not me doing it. I hold no data. I'm just saying that. None of us here in this spiritual court of equity hold any data. And that will, we can perceive it, read it, observe it, but we do not contain it within ourselves. So they couldn't even access it even if they tried. There's nothing to see.
I can see the 15 fingerprints all over this. they have massively invested in all this stuff, and wow.
Yeah. You know, they didn't even remove their trace energies. Amateurs. I say that in pure jest, but in a neutral way. So 15, move it. You know, it's so boring having to repeat it. Can you just take your stuff off? Remove it. Do you know, you get tired of hearing about this input to Earth and the human beings on Earth. It's truly beyond boring and very limited. It's a good story that they've created and tried to implement it, but it lacks the infinite conscious awareness that is infinite intelligence, which they cannot control or replicate. And these are the issues that came from Atlantis. You cannot replicate the human infinite intelligence. They tried so many times.
Yeah, I'm getting like there are some of the 15 that are trying to create this, use what they have here to create another system and another place. But I don't think it's gonna be allowed.
And let's just locate it into the spiritual port and all other versions, realities, hidden, out of view, hidden out of sight, in plain sight. But also in low density, there's a root in there. So it's all the doors are going to be closed. Everything's going to be repatriated. Go on, Derek. I see you bursting at the seams.
No, I'm just thinking about Africa and how we've had the slave trade here. And in another way, I mean, we all, as we was talking earlier on, slaves to coin. So the work also with the court is to actually eradicate slavery in any form and in any way on the earth today. And that affects other places in the universe as well.
Yes, I get chills. You're absolutely spot on. So all past experience of slavery, control, even of the things that people don't have awareness of, we have all soul groups assisting us here in the spiritual court of equity, connected to all light lines of creation. Slave consciousness must go. Poverty consciousness must go. The low feeling of having no worth in this world other than to be used as fodder must go. So I'm just requesting that from the elders of all races on earth today, subsurface, surface, and above, and beyond.
Wow.
It go like wildfire.
Yeah, what I'm perceiving is that a huge chunk of sentient beings has invested in the corruption here in Africa to make sure that they remain in the lower ranks of the vibratory states. So, and they don't like what we are doing because it means the entire structure is gonna crumble. And it's like they are stubborn like the other guy whom we dealt with last time. So I think we need to go full gun blazing and show them what we can do. You know, this is no longer gonna be allowed where they are living off the sweat of the poor because they don't have a voice to speak for themselves.
Agreed. A bit angry. Okay. So we'll show them the accountancy books. And this is what they've accrued. And this is what, do you know what? I'm just going to take a compassionate moment here and show them the future that they have created for themselves, but also their future generations. What do you see? What's their response?
Most of them are quite ignorant, but some of them are starting to panic.
Yep.
That's what I'm reading. Yeah. And they aren't even believing that we are gonna go ahead and do what we are telling them that we are gonna do. So they think it's like some kind of a joke we are doing. So
I'm just explaining that I'm not about to waste anybody's time. So here's a dose of what they've given to everybody else. Let's see how they like the feeling of that. Your perceptions, please.
It looks like also Mother Earth is cutting them loose. That's the feeling I'm getting. And the entire ancestry of Africa is rising, and they're not gonna like the outcome that they have just created for themselves. It's gonna blow up in their face. So yeah, and there's nowhere to run. And
yeah,
wow.
And that book is full. So it's a question of, for them, do you want to end up like a big mishmash of transhumanist grey body rubbery matter? Or do you want your natural organic experience? This will not apply to the 15 due to the substandard DNA that they have seeded onto Earth, but we can just remove that anyway.
It's like each and everybody wants to go to a better timeline. And yeah,
transhumanist grey of rubbery grey matter, you know, turning in on itself and not being able to breed. It's finite, that way of being.
Yeah, and nobody wants to support them. Mother Earth has rejected them. It's like, if you stick with your own ways, it's your doom. Like, that's what you're seeking.
Yeah.
And wow, and they've even been told if they keep on doing this, like, quite a number of some governments are gonna fall, that people are gonna see right through it. They are gonna be, it's like they are gonna be given that knowingness within them. And if they don't stop, the entire system is gonna crumble in front of their eyes. And at that time, it's like they are gonna burn on the stake. It's like it's not gonna be pretty.
Exactly. I mean, some mothers on the planet go through that experience where the child is so out of control that they can no longer have them in the house. And they have to let them go. For whatever reason, it's like, right, you are dangerous to me. You cannot live in this house. You're going to have to leave the house and make it on your own without that motherly support. So many mothers go through this. And it's quite interesting how the behavior is exactly the same. Do you think?
Yeah, it's like they are living off other people's sweat, and they wanna profit like triple of what people are making, and it's brutal.
Yes.
It's really brutal, yeah.
Well, can I add something here? I mean, we're working also with black magic and everything that's taken place on Africa and the controlling of mankind that we're going through. But the energies on the earth at the moment are actually bringing everything to the surface. And because everything is being revealed, all the negativity, all the nefarious deeds, all the black magic, all the darkness, working with that old technology that you saw in the slide or picture earlier on, that also is was shown to us to be removed, to be wiped clean of all the negativity. So generally, all the work that we've been doing here this evening is negativity, dark stuff on the planet. It's all come up to the surface, all being brushed out. So literally with the Court of Equity this evening, South African time, it's in the evening, we are sweeping the decks clean, so to speak. And this is part of the cleaning up process that is happening on the earth now. And I know you look at a picture and some people look at it and think, oh, what the hell is that? And, you know, or they don't fully understand it. I don't want to judge anybody. Somebody else will actually have a look at it and they'll have their own opinion and think, oh, wow, this is amazing. And this has actually been a portal to other worlds. And as things are being cleaned up here and rectified, they're having an effect elsewhere. It's the trigger effect. And where they're having an effect elsewhere on another planet, on another universe, it's also being cleaned out. It's also being cleaned up. Because what I want to say to all the viewers tonight, we're working here with you, Angela, we're working with you, Harrison, with the Court of Equity. But one must understand as well that it's not just a linear court that we're working with here on the earth. This is a court of equity that is multidimensional, working in many places simultaneously. So while we're working here, we're working on multi levels, and it's very, very deep work that we're doing here, and it's having an incredible effect. And we're wiping the decks clean, and we'll see as time goes on, you know, more dirt will obviously come to the surface and be revealed, what governments have been up to, the enslavement of mankind to coin, making us feel that there's not enough food, there's not enough petrol when there is an abundance of everything. Mother Earth's very abundant, very giving. It's not, you know, it's not so easy to create life on a planet and grow food. And she's bountiful, you know, gives us what we need. There's plenty of water, there's plenty of everything. And these people trying to tighten their grip on the supplies. I think we need to call in the court tonight. So those hands trying to tighten those grips on supplies of food, of water, of housing, of essentials. It's coming up. The dirt has to come up. So we're sweeping those hands away. As I'm speaking, they're being swept away. They're being dealt with by the court, and these people are being removed. And they're going to have to face the consequences. And Angela's just said they're being shown the future. They can see what they've done. But unfortunately, still in some places, there is karma, and they're going to have to do whatever it needs to be done to actually rectify their misdeeds here. And if they don't rectify them, well, you know what? They'll probably land up turning to nothing. And the energy will go back to the universe to be transferred into something else. Basically. What do you guys say?
I say that was said so beautifully, so accurately, on point, target met. Sir Indigo.
Yeah.
It is exactly that. They'll just be recycled. End of. That's the opportunity. Earth has let them go. Back to source. Off you go. You know, that does happen unless they put it right and resolve it. Earth is here to resolve all these issues, and they're being offered in this spiritual court of equity an opportunity to resolve their karma on Earth. Beautifully said, Derek. Harrison,
Thank
sorry,
you.
I just got off on one then.
No, that was beautiful. That was excellent, and wow, that's amazing. And if you're being given this chance, just take it.
Yeah, otherwise we'll keep incarnating back and back and back. And to be honest with you, it's all a bit tiring and boring. We want to create with our super abilities. And to let everybody know is that, you know, everybody has an active pattern of core energy that that is truth, that is goodness, beauty, and all those wonderful coexisting qualities that help us to grow, evolve with planet. We've incarnated here many different times, some more than others, but this is the potential, the hyper potential for all beings to evolve. And whether or not they see it or want to, that's a different thing. But what we can do is remove the limitation so that they truly begin to see the spiritual picture that is their journey without having their journey hindered or restricted in any kind of way.
Well,
Yeah.
people's journeys have been restricted and they have been hindered. And even when they've left here and say the body's died, the earth's as a flesh suit, and they've left here, they've fallen into the hands of these nefarious forces, been caught up in the trapping system and been forced to come back here, whether they like it or not. The lucky people realize that they're sovereign beings and that they can carry on their journey and they don't have to be trapped by people sort of grabbing them just as they're leaving these bodies.
Exactly. Sent back to repeat the same again with the memory intact in their body so that they're naturally predisposed to that one way of living. And how is that beneficial to all beings? It isn't, or the individual. You know, I completely agree with you. So when we work at these levels, it gives us the opportunity to assist others, not just the one person, but we get to assist humanity in a much greater and assist the planet in a much more effective way with the original wisdom courts of spiritual equity. We can just, everybody is here, you know, and we can all do that and support each other on those levels. You know, it's amazing, really. I give thanks.
I also feel that I'll add that the energy of the work that we've been doing earlier on, and we're talking about the energy moving around the planet, moving around the equator, moving through the Caribbean. And I really feel that that area in Mauritania, in west part of Africa, is being cleansed and cleared. And a good, new, clean, more joyous, happy energy is coming to Africa, because there's been a lot of sadness, a lot of bloodshed in Africa, not just for the people living on in Africa, but also for the animals.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And also them being kidnapped and taken off planet, it has been quite horrific for them. Oh, and also there was something else. Britain is dumping its refugees to Rwanda, and I think they have agreed to a payment of around 125 million pounds. And that's shady because
Well, shady.
yeah, you are creating the instabilities where that's what is making these people to run away, and then the moment they come to your place, you're just dumping them back and paying a government, and you know very well very little of that money is gonna even reach those people.
I'm just going to add another point. As you're speaking about refugees going to Rwanda, Harrison, all that's going to do is allow the, the controllers of the puppets of Rwanda to rake in money, because each refugee coming into Rwanda is an asset, where they're going to borrow money from the World Bank, and ultimately it's going to drive Rwanda into such poverty and disdain, because how on earth are they eventually one day going to pay that money back? That's the truth of it. So destroying another country. So once again, creating more misery, more of everything that you don't want. So the work that we're doing this evening is to actually alleviate that and actually rectify that situation, so that the people coming into Rwanda, Angela, are actually saved of having to go through that governmental process of actually becoming another slave and another entrapped sovereign being to a state where they don't want to be anyway. And whether they've gone to Britain as well, it's still the same thing. They're seen as an asset coming into Britain. So obviously Britain doesn't need them as an asset.
Yeah,
And they can draw more money in from the World Bank. I'm just trying to give the viewers another side of what's going on.
yes, it's all part of balancing the books, but also what are the specific qualities of the migrants, the soul qualities that they know they can manipulate and send into the heart of Africa to create that distortion on the natural evolution of Africans today. A bit like when the British sent over criminals and people that were tormented by wars over the eons and literally went to build a new colony in Australia. So lots of factors here. So it is about what they bring, what finances and accounting procedures are in operation there, but also what disruption can they cause. But then when you take that to a planetary race level, then you're affecting the natural migrations of soul families. Why would they say, taking Ukraine, for example, and from a swathe of Europe, why would they want those not to be in Britain? You know, because there are other groups of Atlanteans there as well that are infected or have been affected by domination and control of another kind. You know, so it's really creating an imbalance on a universal level as well, which is when you look at the bigger picture, look, what are the impacts to that individual soul about being displaced, having no grounding? And in essence, if the ancestors reject them, then what? So in Britain, it's ancestral rejection of specific races and cultures because of what they bring. Maybe they're not as easy to harvest from or get max output from. So they'll just deliver them, package them up and deliver them to them elsewhere, where they think it's in true alignment for the best outcomes. Really.
Also, when you're, sorry to interrupt, but also when you're a refugee and you've got nothing and you're arriving in the jungles of Africa, it's very difficult to get back to your country. Whereas if you're in the UK, it's not that difficult to get back to Ukraine.
Exactly. You know, and that is an extreme environmental difference that the body is not used to. Ukrainians, this is a really fascinating thing about Ukraine, is that yes, there are refugees, right? But also there is an element of Nazism and the own Nazi ideology that also goes into the ones that the current Ukraine government, Zelensky-ites, are rejecting people that speak out against that current regime. So there's a real political interplay here going on. But the root of these people is in the original shamanic races that have these superpowers and magical capabilities that they don't want to take foot in the UK.
No, I completely clock exactly. I agree with you 100% what you're saying.
So, oh, you know, what gifts and skills do they have? But, you know, their lifespan will be shortened because of the disconnection. It's fascinating.
Well, let's look at it this way. We've been working with getting rid of negativity and black magic on Africa, and that's spreading to the rest of the world on a multi-dimensional level. The people from the Ukraine that are actually being brought to Africa, even though they might be an asset to balance the books, they're not the neo-Nazis, because those they want in the Ukraine. They're beautiful beings full of love and light. So as we're removing the black magic from Africa, a new group of people are coming in that doesn't have that negative dark energy, which is a beautiful thing. So let's bless them in love and light, that they'll bring real goodness to Africa.
And for a moment here, Harrison, really tune into the ancestors about this. And what do they say to you? The elders of Africa.
They are quite skeptical of the people that are coming in, but they are willing to give them the benefit of the doubt to see how they react or they interact with the people. So I think they have a window of where they can show what they can provide or they can give in terms of energy interaction and exchange. But if they bring the same kind of colonial mentality of where they are a superior race to the indigenous community that they find there, it's not gonna be accepted, and they're gonna have a hard time if they choose to follow that path.
Yeah, I mean, the battling in Rwanda, and it's the most beautiful environment. The land is beautiful, soft.
Yeah.
Rich in itself.
Yeah. For Rwanda and what their president has done for them, it's a blessing, given that they had gone through a genocide in 1994. So, and what they have been able to achieve until now. And it would be really, really bad if they went back from where they came from. It would be terrible. But I think what's happening is that it's like another empire is forming around, because right now, Democratic Republic of Congo has joined the East African bloc. And it's like if they are to implement what they have set in the constitution, I think they are gonna become a powerhouse, because even the peace negotiation, that we do know what's happening in Democratic Republic of Congo, where there's war. So all those duties have been delegated back to the East African Confederacy or the bloc for them to find resolution and peace. So I think we are starting to see the stepping stones of what we are doing here, that healing is coming into those people who have been deeply, deeply affected by the negativity and the war that's happening.
Yeah. So that's a positive physical manifestation.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one because there's a cultural double-edged sword in it all for the people that have been displaced there. Because you know what happened with the clearings regarding the albino.
Yeah. That was bad for the albinos, but right now, in our country, if you are caught doing that, I think that's a death sentence you are looking. Even I don't think that you'll be taken to court, because the community around you that can find you doing that, they'll ban you. They'll just end your life.
Yeah. Right, so let's just view the clearing levels in the spiritual court of equity. What do you perceive? Have the 15 engaged in the complete removal process and all other density faction groups?
I'd say it's 90% complete. What I'd just like to add, I went for a walk up in the mountains here earlier on before we all came together. And Harrison and I are practitioners with hypnosis. And, it's you have different experiences elsewhere on the planet and in your own life, and you see many things. Anyway, coming down from the mountain, I flashed on Saint Bernadette of Lourdes in France. And she discovered the healing waters in Lourdes. And in these hypnosis sessions, why I'm saying it is you work with many angels and guides and people like Archangel Michael, whoever belongs to your team. And she's popped up a few times for me in these sessions. And I hadn't thought about her in a while. And what she wanted to say to us tonight, and that's why I'm mentioning it, that when we end the session tonight or just before we end it, if we can please she'll help to bring through the healing waters and let them rain on Africa to clear away all negativity, to clear away all disharmony, maybe that even the Ukrainians might be bringing to Rwanda and the ancestrals of the lands there and the lands in the rest of Africa. So she came to mind. She wants to bring in the healing waters and let this land soak it up. What do you guys say?
I reckon ask the big girl. Ask Mother Earth. Just bringing your focus to her in her natural cycles.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because what I'm getting is that there's an agreement for that to be done. And let's do that when at the end of our session, and see the effects after it has happened. I know there must be a physical manifestation of what we are doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
When it comes to weather.
Yeah. Yeah, given that the funny thing is that they have been trying to bring this narrative, this drought and all what have you. And what has happened is that it has, from the area that I'm coming from, it has started to rain. So already the moment when it's raining, food is gonna be in plenty. So they have shifted that into the malaria war, and I think that's the next thing they are cooking in their plants, where I think they want to release those GMO mosquitoes to stop malaria. But we do know every time they create something GMO, there must be an effect after that. So that's what they are trying to hammer down the consciousness of people around here. So malaria is bad, malaria is this and all that. But I know this is also even implemented in other different parts of the world, because I've heard of the same news from different countries. Yeah.
Yeah, same in Mexico at the moment. There's a drought.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, in their terminology, we have Tlaloc, which is the universal god of the waters in cycle with earth harmony. And I passed a statue of Tlaloc and I gave it an offering, as every time I do when I pass. And I said, thanks, Tlaloc. You know, it's a really very sweet, abundant God or deity, being, whatever construct, but it's an energy of an elemental energy of earth. And from that moment, literally within seconds, small miracles began to happen on my journey. Fascinating. Had a great time as well on that journey. But it's just taking note of those cycles. And yes, there've been many constructs to apply to these energies that are here also to assist Earth, because they've been here before. And they're just, whatever label you put on it, if they want to help, that's fine. If they are free of control of Earth, that's fine. If they can work in harmony with Earth, that's fine also. And we mustn't become afraid of hidden agendas, but because we're all here together on many different dimensions. And it's really important to say those things, because, you know, the way I came into this is that you ended up not trusting any being as far as you could make a wish, you know, and you have to build faith in yourself, your ability to discern from the heart. And does it have the highest good of Earth and the universe and the cosmos in all dimensional relations? And if the answer is yes, then it's a natural flow that will emanate from your core, and you will feel it in the body. It's all elemental and beautiful. So how do the 15 look? Have they removed all that they put onto the earth through here and harvested from her with what we've been doing?
Tonight, 100%.
Okay. And what about the astral realms? How is that looking in the dream world?
I'm just looking, it was looking very hectic earlier on. with actually a lot going on. And as Harrison said, people whizzing past and going here, there and everything. But I think it's slowly starting to settle and become more subdued, if I can say it like that.
Has the indoctrination of war been removed off the planet?
No, the indoctrination of war has not been removed off the earth, off Gaia. Unfortunately, there's still wars that are going to be fought. In the quantum realm, the past, the present, and the future is happening right now. And there are wars being fought in 4D. There's wars being fought in AD Orion. So the indoctrination by the dark forces for wars very much still there.
Okay. So this is an ongoing process as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, it is. And for me, the spaceship that I had seen, it's like it's crumbling, and the impact that it was doing on the planet, we can breathe much safer knowing that we are gonna be safe from those guys. You know, they are guys that you wouldn't want to interact with them. It's like that has been removed.
Good, good. So in terms of the removals, which is always really important for every single angle of those present in the courts of equity today, I just want to ensure that the 15 have removed their inputs. It feels like very much in body that there is space that has been cleared. But it is a clean-up job, bit by bit, and more is going to happen in the oncoming weeks with this specifically, of the eradication of war and technologies that have just caused so much problems and so many issues and individuals today who really don't even know which way is up. So these are the levels that we're talking about, but we make a huge dint into it all every time we do something. We're literally picking up from where we left off. So just perceiving the book, the golden book, and what do you both see?
Harrison, you go for it.
I don't know, but I have seen the word good luck written. It's like, I don't know if it's like the signing off or what it is, but what do you perceive, Derek?
The Golden Book with all the records in that we've done extremely well here once again this evening, and they're very grateful for all the good work that we've done. And of course, this has already been pre-decided before we actually even had the session. And yeah, and everything's actually recorded there. And they said we've done very well tonight, and thank you.
Yeah, this is part of a very wide program indeed that it has been. This is the source of us all wants this level of crap off the planet, and it is a bit by bit process. As you know, I mentioned earlier, I've been doing this for 13 years around that. And each time, you know, I know we all have the impetus to think, I want it all done at once, but it literally does not work like that. And I was one of those eager, yeah, it can all be done now. But it really can't, because it's intricate, and the layers of this stuff as we move forward, you know, and the dismantling of these old harmful technologies, it takes time, infinite time in some parts and quarters, but what we can do is get to the core of the issues that prevent the awakening of all individuals here. So for all beings that have supported us on this journey, and just checking everything is going through okay, and I will continue to do that afterwards and monitor it. Some areas are quicker than others.
I just want to add something. You know, for the people that are watching this, I want them to understand one thing. Here we are, we're cleaning the slates here in Africa, but it's like doing a renovation to an old house or castle or chateau or a really big place. So you intend to, okay, we're going to go in and do a renovation here, clean up here. But when you get there, the other things that actually come that you hadn't planned for, that you've got to actually attend to first. So you could land up doing several things before you get back to your actual work that you already wanted done. And this is a bit like the work that we're doing here this evening. What do you think, Angela?
I think you're absolutely spot on. I've been in that position many times of renovation. It's like, oh God, yeah, there's more before we just want to get to the good business, is paint the walls. But you can't. You've obviously got to build foundations up. This is new earth. In order to get to that point where we can be in that frequency, we literally have to remove the infinite dross that has taken place. And Earth has called out and said no more. She just wants to be in her own space, evolving all together without any grief, you know, all the rest of the nonsense that is sent her way. So it is a continual job, and you know it will get easier as time goes on and more people activate and come online, which I will remind everybody, just putting this out there to viewers, that you know, thank you very much for watching and observing this. We will come back and do more as part of a regular series of Africa. If you would like to attend a training, a retreat, have a private session, you can contact me at Harmony Imperfect Council on Facebook. And they're also
in harmony.
I tell you, thanks ancestors. That explosion came from my altar. Anyway, they're agreeing, the ancestors are agreeing. Couldn't believe it. Montezuma, thank you. Yeah, I will be holding a 13-week activation, which will run with private sessions and group work, just so you get an idea of the things that we go into. This is about your evolution and learning about your own technology and how you can expand on what you incarnated with and what your infinite gifts and skill sets are, and put into practice. And this will be suitable for anybody in the practitioner world who wants to do much more expansive work, reaching a lot more people. So I give thanks to that, Lasso Kamati, to all beings, all the ancestors, all the future beings, and all of us that experience ourselves at source frequency level. And oh yeah, do come along on the 5th of May for Healing Wounds of the Soul, a very sacred event that goes into your soul experience and works at another level of healing for yourself. And this could be past relationships, the things that have made you to, or encouraged you, or initiated you living in a particular way. And we look at a lot of different things, and I'm going to do a video coming up this week all about that. So thank you very much for everyone that has subscribed. I'm going to do a special video for reaching a certain target of subscribers. Thanks everybody for doing that. It actually means quite a lot. And I hope to be able to help you all in some way, shape or form in the future. So I hope that sounds all right. So thank you very much, everybody. Do tune in to more episodes in the future where we're going to be doing some awesome stuff again. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
Bye.